Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam Zoom class. It's from Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 16, and this is a recording of a class given by Srila Prabhupada himself. Please pick up your listening devices, volumes. Sometimes these recorded lectures are low in volume. So without any further ado, we'll start right now. Hare Krishna.
How to become business.
Hare Krishna.
And his father is High Court judge. So there is no harm that he belongs to the family of such and such High Court judge. But that does not mean he is High Court judge. It should be known. That is the difference. Brahmana and Brahma Bandhu. Brahmana means Guru Karma Vibhag. He must have the quality. Tamo, tamo, saucham, tisikha, ajavam, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikam, Brahma Karma Svabhava. He must be self-controlled, controlling the mind and the senses, then very clean Saucham, Sattam Saucham, then Titikha, tolerant, Arjava, very simple, no duplicity, simple, Arjava, Jnanam, full knowledge, Vijnanam, knowledge applied in practical life. That is Vijnanam. Just like we call science. Science means to know the things correctly and by practical experiment to understand the things correctly. That is Vijnanam. Jnanam means theoretical knowledge and Vijnanam means practical application of the knowledge. Simply if I know this is the qualification of Brahmana, but there is no practical application, that will not do. One must pass the engineering examination and work as engineer, then he is called an engineer. One has passed the law examination and is practicing in the court, then he is lawyer. Two things required. Similarly, all these Varna Vibhava, division of Varnas, Guna Karma Vibhava. Guna means he must have the necessary quality, at the same time he must work with that quality. Then he is Chaturvarnamaya system, Guna Karma Vibhava. So, here Aswathama is born of a Brahmana father, but his work has been proved just like a butcher. So therefore, he is called Brahma Bandhu. He is called not a Brahmana, Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu Shiro Atotayana. Atotayana, aggressor. A Brahmana does not require to kill a person with weapon. No, that is Kshatriya's business. If one is actually a Brahmana, of course in the Kali Yuga such Brahmana is not to be found. He simply curse is sufficient to kill a man. If a Brahmana curses somebody, just like Maharaj Parikshit, he was cursed by a Brahmana's son, means not fully Brahman, not grown up. A child, a boy, 12 years old, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that within 7 days he will be bitten by a serpent, and it came to be true. So, Brahmana does not require any sword or any arrow to kill a man. His very word is sufficient. Therefore, when somebody was to be killed, the Brahmana would bring it to the Kshatriya, not killing himself by way. Just like Vishwamitra, he wanted to kill one Rakshasi, so he came to Maharaj Dasarath Kshatriya to do the business of killing. There are so many, that is Shastric evidences. So, here, the Brahmabandhu, Ashwatthama was born of a Brahmana, Dronacharya. But he killed the 5 sons of Draupadi most abominably when they were sleeping. So what to speak of Brahmana, he is less than a Kshatriya even, because a Kshatriya also do not kill anybody while one is sleeping. A Kshatriya challenges, offers him weapon, fights, and then one of them is killed. That is, so here it is Brahmavan, Atutaina. Atutaina, aggression. Anyone who kidnaps one's wife is called aggressor. One who sets fire in your house, he is aggressor. One who is coming to kill you with weapon, he is aggressor. In this way, there is a list of aggression. So, aggressor can be killed immediately. If somebody is aggressor, there is no sin in killing aggressor. The enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapon, plunders wealth, or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife, is called an aggression. Everything, this is Vedic knowledge. Everything has got definition. So, this Ashwatthama was an aggression. Therefore, Arjuna decided to kill him. Although he is born of a Brahmin family, naturally a person born in a Brahmin family is expected to become a Brahmin by qualification. That was the training. The brahmachari, generally the sons of Brahmana and Kshatriyas, especially these two sects, up to Vaishya, they were trained as brahmachari, and Shudras were not interested. The door is open for everyone, but the lower class, except Brahmana, Kshatriya, they are not interested to become brahmachari, or their parents are not interested. Just like you are going to open this brahmachari school or ashram, but I am doubtful whether we will get many children, because in this age people are interested to become Shudra. Nobody is interested to become Brahman. Technology means Shudra. Technology is not the business of a Brahman or Kshatriya or Vaishya. No. Just like blacksmith, goldsmith, carpenter, craftsman, these are technology. They are meant for the Shudras. Brahmanas, they are to be trained up how to become truthful, how to become controller of the senses, how to become simple, how to become tolerant in this way. Kshatriya how to become strong, stout, brave, no going away when there is challenge, not to go away from fighting, to possess land to rule over, Ishvara Bhavancha, and charity. These are the Kshatriya qualifications. The charity was given by the Kshatriyas. Even there are instances that Mohammedan rulers in this country, they also gave in charity land and temple in Vrindavan. There are many instances. Aurangzeb gave some land, Jahangir gave some land. There is still one temple. It was constructed by Jahangir, and the other side of the Jamuna, there is a village called Jahangirpura. That village was given to the Brahmana for maintaining the temple. So, charity, that is Kshatriya's business, perform yajnas, giving charity, and to rule, not to go away from fighting, challenge, very strong, stout. These are Kshatriya qualification. And the Vaishya qualification, agriculture, Krishi, Goraksha, and cow protection. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijjam. And if there is excess, then Vanijjam, trade. Otherwise there is no question of trade. And Vaishya and Sudra, Purichajyatmaka, to work for some payment. That is, this blacksmith, goldsmith, the weaver. You take some work from him and pay him something, maintain him. That is Sudra. So, in this Shastra it is said, Kalau Sudra Sambhava. In the Kali Yuga, almost everyone is a Sudra. You will find they are interested in accepting some service. Even one is born of a Brahmin family, he is looking after some good job. That is Sudra mentality. That is not Brahmana's business. Brahmana will not accept anyone's service. Neither the Kshatriyas, neither the Vaishyas, only Sudras. So, considering all these points, Aswathama is accepted here as Brahmabandhu, and at the same time his aggression. Brahmabandhu Atutayana. Therefore Arjuna promised, I shall kill him. Arjuna did not promise to kill a Brahmana. No, that was not business. Because he is proved to be Brahmabandhu and Atutayana, he deserved to be killed. Therefore it is hanged. So, next verse. This verse.
statements.
by statements.
Saha, he,
Satvayitva,
satisfying.
satisfying.
Achyutamitra sutaha,
Achyutamitra sutaha,
Arjuna,
Arjuna,
who is guided by the infallible Lord as a friend and driver.
who is guided by the infallible Lord as a friend and driver.
Anvadhavat, follow. Ramshitaha, being protected by Kavacha.
Being protected by
Ukradhanva, equipped with various weapons. Kapitvajaha,
Do you want to forward a little bit to see if the volume is coming up? The recording is not good.
He is always perfect, complete. So one who is not complete is Jiva, Manu, and Vibhu. Vibhu, there are many examples. Just like fire, blazing fire. You have got experience. And there are sparks. These sparks fall down sometimes and become extinguished without any illumination, without any burning power. When so long the spark is within the fire, it has got the same quality, illumination and burning quality. But as soon as it falls down, extinguished, no more illumination, no more burning power. So, our position is like that. Although we are part and parcel of God, Mamayivamsu Jiva Bhuta, because we have chuto, fallen down from our spiritual atmosphere. This like spiritual atmosphere, Krishna's friends, coward boys, they are playing with Krishna. That is also playing. And here in this material world, the boys, they also play football play. But these two plays are different. One is spiritual and another is material. Same example. The spark, when it is with the fire, it is illuminating and burning. But when the sparks fall down, you may fall down on the ground. There are three chances. One chance is the spark falls down on dry grass. Then there is fire. As soon as the spark falls down on the dry grass, there is fire for some time. And when the spark falls down on the ground, it is extinguished. And when the fire spark falls down on the water, then it is not only extinguished, it becomes no more inflammable. Very difficult to inflame. Similarly, when we fall down from the fire, a spiritual world, we associate with three qualities. Purusha prakristha, bhumte prakritijan guna. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita. Prakritijan guna. In the Prakriti, in this material world, there are three modes of material nature. Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So, That is true. When you fall down, you can fall down anywhere. This example, the spark falls down from the original fire. So it can fall down on the dry grass, it can fall down on the water, it can fall down on ground. There is three chances. Similarly, when the living entity originally part and parcel of God, the same quality, not the same quantity. It's like spark and fire. They're same quality, but not same quantity. Fire is very big. Therefore the big fire is Achyuta. It is never degraded. But the small fire is degraded. So when Krishna comes, big fire comes, he is not degraded. He is Achyuta. You don't think that because Krishna has come in this material world, so he is also affected by the material qualities. No. In Bhagavata it is said, Etad isanam kisasya. This is controlling power. Although he comes in this material world, he is not affected by the material qualities. He is not horrible, he is Achyuta. Therefore Krishna is described as Achyuta. When Arjuna was asking Krishna to move his chariot, so he addressed him as Achyuta. Senaya rubhayar madhye ratha sthapaya me Achyuta. Why Achyuta? Because Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Arjuna is living being, entity. Arjuna is servant and Krishna is the master. Jive Swarupa Nitya Krishna Lal. How the servant can order the master? It is not the etiquette, neither it is possible. Therefore, Arjuna reminded Krishna, Achyuta, my dear friend, you are Achyuta, you never fallible. You promised that you shall drive my chariot. So now, because you are my driver, I am asking you to follow my orders. Don't be sorry, Achyuta. This is the purpose. So therefore, Senaya Rubhayara Madhye Ratha Sthapaya Me Achyuta. In this way you find Krishna never failed in his promise. He remained always when he was pierced with the arrows. Sometimes the chariot driver is killed, the horses are killed to make the enemy inactive, because without horses, without chariot driver, how you can drive? So, Krishna is Achyuta. He never falls. So this is a false theory that when God falls down, he becomes Jiva. And when he is again revived in his original position, he becomes God. This is nonsense theory. It has no meaning. God never falls down. But rascals, Ujananti Manga Mudha, Manusentano Mahati. Because they are rascals, they think Krishna as ordinary human being. Ujananti Manga Mudha. Therefore, Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan, and so many rascals they think that Krishna's dealing with the gopis is the same as one young man or young boy plays with other young girls. No. they are different. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita. This dealing in this material world between young boys and girls, they're material, they're simply a reflection of the original dealing. The verse in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadasya Jataha, from Brahma, everything is emanating. Without me in Brahma, nothing can be manifest or existing within this world. So these love affairs between young girl and young boy is there in Brahma. That is the dealing of Krishna and the gopis. So that dealing is perfectly reflected within this material world. It is not the same thing. It is different. But those who are not in the knowledge, they take it that the dealings even Vishnu and the Brajavadu, it is so nice that actually if one hears about the dealings of the gopis and Krishna, then he becomes so elevated in devotion that he forgets the lusty dealings between man and woman. That is the result. It is stated in the Bhagavad. Apuhinoti bhakting pratilabha apuhinoti kama. If one is eligible to hear the dealings of gopis and Krishna, the result will be he will forget the lusty desires of this material world. Therefore it is not for all. These dealings of gopis and Krishna, it is meant for the liberated person. They can hear, not the ordinary person. Therefore, this Krishna Leela is given in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So don't jump over. First of all, you try to understand Krishna, Achyuta, Janmadasya Jataha, Annaya, Sadatasya, Arthishu, Vigna, Sarat. To understand Krishna, not only the Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD, and Srimad Bhagavatam begins when one is actually Krishna conscious. Sarvadharman Parityajyamami. Then Srimad Bhagavatam begins. So, don't jump over the Krishna Leela or jump over Radha Kunda unless you are a liberated person. This is the discussion. Achyuta. You must be also Achyuta. Not falling down from the standard of pure devotional service. Achyuta Gotra. A Vaishnava, when he is asked about his identification, he gives Achyuta Gotra. Now I belong to the Achyuta, not to my original family. Therefore, for a sannyasi, when he is asked, what is your identification, it is says Purvashram. Purvashram means formally I belong to such and such family. Now I belong to the family of Krishna. Achyuta Gotra. This is etiquette. One sannyasi should not be inquired about his identification because he has given up the family relationship. So he should not be bothered. That is not etiquette. Even somebody inquire, he should inquire like Purvashram. What was your Purvashram? Before taking sannyas, what was your identification? So, to take sannyas means to become in the family of Achyuta. Achyuta Gotra. Gotra means family. In India, that there are Gotras of big rishis' name. Gautama Gotra, Kasyapa Gotra, Vasishtha Gotra, like that. So they are coming in disciplic succession or family. All of them were grihasthas. Some of them are coming from the family and some of them are coming from disciplic succession. But both of them are of the same gotra. So that's what it is understood. Achyuta Gotra. Those who are renowned order of life, these are called Achyuta Gotra. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. First of all, let me apologize for the quality of this recording. We said so many times in the beginning, kick your listening devices up in volume to hear. This one was a very, very stark example of what technology can do. Sometimes, it's we say it's almost perfect. It's never totally perfect ever. But hopefully you listened closely enough and picked up some points that we can have a discussion with. So if you feel inclined, please unmute yourself and share whatever you heard from this. Very, very important point to see the Prabhupada was giving, although the recording quality wasn't as great. Actually, I will try to make sure this doesn't happen again. And that's a promise. But anyway, please unmute yourself and share what you could pick up from this as your takeaways, or even ask a question involving this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories
Accept
to
us, glory to
Prabhupada.
the Prabhupada. Jai.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada's lectures are always full of strong points.
Mm,
And one point was a reminder for me where he said that the Brahmanas don't need weapons, to strike.
mm.
Their words are weapons, which was very powerful for me. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, and then he gave an example of how Shringi, of course, that was Krishna's will. How Shringi, just his words alone, pronounced literally a death sentence on Maharaj Pariksit, even though he was even inexperienced then. Because there's also another one, that King Vena, how he was killed by the Brahmana because he was such a troublesome king. Again, they don't use weapons. They can chanting mantras take a life, but they don't usually like to do that unless it's a critical situation. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Any other takeaways or questions or realizations from this?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
The recording, wasn't quite good. I couldn't catch some of the words, but I think the last part of the lecture was really powerful. I think I can read the transcription of it. That will help a lot since the recording was not good. But Srila Prabhupada made a really big statement, and don't think I've ever heard that before. That, he says that we shouldn't jump into Krishna Lila or Radha Kund unless we are liberated. I've heard Prabhupada says we cannot jump to the Bhagavatam to get to Krishna book and 10th canto and all that. But I've never heard him say, this is the first time, so it was really a wake-up call, where he says that one has to be liberated to be able to get, to jump into the Krishna Lila and Radha Kund. And I was thinking, whoa, this is going to be a long shot if it happens in this lifetime. So I was thinking that either there's a lot of work that I have to do inside me, or I'll just remain the way I am, because I don't think the stage of getting into liberation, it's going to happen anytime. But it was a really powerful statement for me to share Prabhupada. And I think what was reminded me by when I heard that, in this lecture, Srila Prabhupada, to me, sounded like he was really pushing his disciples, devotees, pushing to grow, pushing to learn, pushing to not take it for granted, pushing to not waste time. Like he was making a really strong point how we really have to take things seriously and not, like time passed. So I could sense that urgency actually somehow in this lecture, where we shouldn't take things for granted. We shouldn't take things so cheaply in Krishna consciousness, and we should be serious. So that's one thing that was coming across for me in this lecture. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yes. I'm also hearing for the first time. We've heard, Srila Prabhupada's advice. You start from the feet of the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam, Cantos 1 and 2, and then you go up and up and up. And finally, Krishna's smiling face is the 10th canto. And one should not go straight to the 10th canto. As even in the temple, when you're offering obeisances, you're looking at the deity, you start from the feet on up, then to the face of the deity. So yeah, in Bhagavatam has to be approached the same way. And it says, unless you are a liberated person. Because a liberated person understands all of those in the cantos before the 10th canto. A liberated person has that kind of understanding. Therefore, they can go straight to Krishna's pastime and not misinterpret it as a material thing. Janma karma chame divyam. Krishna says his appearance and his activities are all transcendental. And sometimes because there's material perverted reflection of what the spiritual is, sometimes he's acting, which is all in the spiritual platform. People have a tendency to think that it's something similar to, what happens here in this perverted lifestyle that we're living in the material world. So thank you for bringing that point out, your own realization or your take home. Any other devotees want to talk about some take home, their realizations and so on? Please unmute
Hare
yourself.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All
Accept
glories to
mine.
Srila Prabhupada. It was
Jai.
a hard to hear lecture, like you said, but wonderful, wonderful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Lots of takeaways, and I had two. One of them was the one Mataji had just brought up. It was nice to hear Srila Prabhupada say, we can't leapfrog to the Krishna Leelas. The Bhagavad Gita is the ABCs, but some other points that Srila Prabhupada brought up that I, really thought about and I'm going to hold on to was how he said, we can't even hope to begin studying the Srimad Bhagavatam until we are Krishna consciousness. And that just hit me like, wow, as an aspiring devotee, as we all hear, even one shloka we can study for months at a time. Srimad Bhagavatam is so vast. But I had a question though, like with that all tying in, as the neophyte, as the aspiring devotee looking to become initiated, we're studying the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, nectar of instruction, and we're told not to leapfrog to the Krishna Leela. And I really enjoyed the point you brought about how, Krishna's pastimes are transcendental. It's something you and I talked about a lot early on when, I made the mistake of trying to, correlate, our mundane materialistic world with pastimes from Krishna, etc. But Prabhuji, my question is, sometimes we hear devotees say, read Krishna book before bed. So, is that jumping ahead, or I'm looking at it as as we're watering our seeds of devotion. Sometimes Krishna book at night. Maybe a little bit of fertilizer. We're studying all the other shlokas, so why not read a few pastimes? Or is that still leapfrogging, as Prabhupada said?
The Prabhupada said that when we go to the 10th canto, that's leapfrogging. In ISKCON, though, of course, we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the other cantos, and even sometimes the 11th and 12th canto, which also is there. Now, any part of Srimad Bhagavatam you can get realizations from. So, of course, there are sometimes in different temples wherever they've gotten to in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I've heard so many sannyasis just preach from that point on. So they haven't really shied away from the 10th canto if the temple has actually done the reading from the first canto all the way past the 9th canto, and now they are on the 10th canto. They'll preach like that. Now, personally, since you're asking me about this, maybe Mother Gita can chime in also and share her realization of it if it's still on. Personally, I have to take very closely what Srila Prabhupada says. Mm. And even if I hear pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto, my prayer is to my spiritual master that I do not get sidetracked by it or think about it in a material way, because that was the point that Srila Prabhupada was making, that there's a tendency for people to think materially in some of these pastimes that Krishna involves himself and his devotees in. So that's the danger. But you can still hear about the 10th canto. It's there, but if you're going to hear about that, I don't know that I would personally read that as the part of Srimad Bhagavatam to read and to go to bed with. I don't know. I would much rather hear it from an advanced devotee who can interpret some of the things so that I don't look at it from a material standpoint. The very thing that Srila Prabhupada says not to do. So, in summary, the good thing about ISKCON and the preaching that's going on in all the temples is that Srimad Bhagavatam is being covered in many, many, many parts, many cantos, all different from the 10th canto. It's all over the place. So you can definitely hear plenty of that, even at night, if you want to. It doesn't have to be the 10th canto. But if you're going to hear the 10th canto, I would much rather hear it from the lips of one of our devotees who is senior, who is advanced, and that can put things in perspective so that my mind doesn't trip into a material interpretation of it. And that's what I would advise myself on. And if you like to take it, that's also. In other words, 10th canto as a lecture given by one of our sannyasis, for example, you could hear that, because then you put things in perspective better. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, I don't know whether Mother Gita is on here and it can add to it. I don't know, but let me just see. No, she's not on there. Okay. All right. So, devotees, any other things that you want to talk about? Takeaways, please go ahead and do so. Unmute yourself. Okay, in the meantime, I'll share some of my takeaways also. Srila Prabhupada started talking about Ashwatam. He was a Brahmana's son, Dronacharya's son, but he was a Brahmana Bandhu. Didn't really, really know much about being a Brahman. He didn't live that way. And then, of course, some of the things that Srila Prabhupada talked about, the Brahmins, they don't use weapons to kill. Their words are enough. But they don't usually like to kill, though. They usually like to refer the matter to a Kshatriya. So he went that background at first. And then he talked about Ashwatthama's killing Draupadi's sons while they were sleeping. And for that matter, he killed Dhristadyumna when he was also sleeping. So an aggressor like that has to be killed. And then Srila Prabhupada went into what is defined as an aggressor. A person who sets fire to a house, as American would call an arsonist, the person who administers poison, the person who attacks with deadly weapons, and that one, of course, even American law still says that you can defend yourself and you don't get prosecuted for defending yourself, somebody coming at you with a deadly weapon. Someone who plunders another person's wealth, someone who damages or usurps or takes someone's agricultural field, and someone who entices another person's wife. Those are all under the description of an aggressor. And that person, Srila Prabhupada says, normally the punishment is that that person is killed. But he also talked about these days people not wanting to be Brahmanas. Even though Brahman training is wonderful, then he went into the details of it, how to be truthful, controlling the senses, to be simple, to be tolerant. Because in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 42, the qualities where the Brahmanas work, they are described by Krishna there. He talked about the Kshatriyas, how to become strong, stout, brave, and not quitting from a fight. And of course, they have administrative duties too, ruling, and then they also give charity. And Vaishyas, agriculture, business, and cow protection. Mm. So then he went from a few things involving us, and of course, compared to Krishna himself, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We're like a spark, and when it falls from the fire, then three things can happen. If a spark falls on the dry grass, then there can be fire for some time. If it falls on the ground, it is extinguished. And when the spark falls in water, not only is it extinguished, but it's no longer flammable. Even the quality is gone totally. So we are sparks. And Achyuta Krishna is the big fire, not to be extinguished. So he's Achyuta because he's infallible. He's not affected by material qualities. Arjuna is servant, Krishna is master, but because Krishna had offered to drive, or at least agree with Arjuna's request to be the chariot driver, so then Arjuna had to remind Krishna, you agreed to be the chariot driver, and usually the person that's on the chariot can then ask the chariot driver to do whatever that he wants done. And so he had to remind Krishna that way, I know you are Achyuta, you are the Supreme Lord, but because you are doing this particular service, by the way, this kind of service is also an expression of Krishna's opulence of renunciation. When he does menial service, that's part of is understood to be renunciation. Srila Prabhupada has explained that in another lecture. So, of course, Dr. Bed has already talked about, the Krishna book and Krishna playing with cowherd girls. Some people mistake it to be material. But if a pure devotee hears about the dealings of Krishna and the devotees and his gopis, then he will not get lusty. He will forget lusty desires of this material world. That is what it's supposed to convey, the feeling that's supposed to come from hearing the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. Therefore, if anybody feels lusty, then it's not a good idea to even hear that then. Growth takes time. We don't become pure devotees overnight. That reminds me of one point that I'd like to make. This is outside of this, but somebody had drawn a picture of Shrimati Radharani, and the way that they drew it, some devotees looked at it, and there was actually, even they were feeling some lusty feelings, and that was a very serious situation to get one's mind into. So we approached a spiritual master about it, and he says that if you're going to feel lusty when any of the pictures of any of the gopis, whoever the gopi is, it's best not to keep that picture. Give it away, but don't have that. So it is important that sometimes when we're in the process of growing, we're not advanced yet, and we should look at the beauty and relate it to Krishna, but we look at beauty and then we begin to think materially about it, and then our minds are literally blown in that case. So we have to be very careful, and that's why Srila Prabhupada talks about you got to be an advanced devotee in order to appreciate that kind of lila between Krishna and the cowherd girls. There are leelas between Krishna and cowherd boys, leelas between Krishna and him killing demons. So many other leelas are there that don't generate lust that a person can listen to and be excited about it. And a bit of that is also in the 10th canto. So we certainly have to be careful. And of course, be well advised. This is individually, if you feel that way, anything that'll make you lusty. Lust is a material feeling, and spiritual word is all love. So we have to be careful how we interpret this. Hare Krishna. So that's my takeaway. Any others you want to share some more before we close? That would be nice. We're just on top of the hour now. You can mute yourself. Hare Krishna. If not, then again, I apologize for the quality of this. This is a recording that whose quality was practically not good, and it's probably the most challenging one of the recording. But you could tell from the sound that was coming that the devotees are trying to make it work, but they struggled with it. And that happens every now and then. It's material equipment. Okay, so anyway, so this is midweek. Have a wonderful rest of your week and remain Krishna conscious, chanting the holy name all of the time. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhibhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.